Hello students, in previous session we have studied the proof of work consensus algorithm. So uh, this proof of work has several disadvantages, as we know that in proof of work the miners has to solve the mathematical puzzle, and for solving the mathematical puzzle powerful computer is required. Then it requires a lots of energy also. There are different alternate algorithms for proof of work: proof of stake, proof of burn, proof of elapsed time. So in this session we will try to learn the proof of stake algorithm. This proof of stake is alternate to the proof of work. So before studying the proof of stake algorithm, we will try to learn the monopoly problem, and then we will learn the proof of stake algorithm. There are various disadvantages of proof of work algorithm. In previous session we have studied proof of work is a mining algorithm, consensus algorithm. In proof of work algorithm, if the miner want to propose a block in the Bitcoin network, then miner has to solve the mathematical puzzle, and for solving the mathematical puzzle a lot of energy is required. Then the computer should be powerful. So there are huge expenditures for proof of work consensus algorithm. So what is the need of consensus algorithm? We know that in consensus mechanism there are different nodes. Nodes are nothing but miners, and miners will try to propose a block. So before adding the block, the miners will collect a transaction, and after collecting the transaction, that transactions are kept in the block, and after keeping the transactions in the block is created, and miners will try to solve the mathematical puzzle. And for solving the mathematical puzzle, miners requires high performance computer, and also lots of energy is required uh, to solve the mathematical puzzle. And we know that at least 10 minutes are required to propose a block in the blockchain. So in 1 hour 6 blocks can be proposed. If you see the disadvantages of this proof of work mechanism, there are huge expenditures associated with proof of work. For a proof of work consensus algorithm, this proof of work mining algorithm requires highly specialized computer hardware to run the complicated algorithms, and these specialized machines consume large amount of power to run that uh, uh, consensus algorithm, and it increases the cost, and large cost threatens centralization of the system since it benefits. There are very few machines, very few miners that have such type of high performance computers, and these computers can take the control of the system, because such type of powerful computers can only solve this mathematical puzzle. So it will create a monopoly problem in the proof of work mechanism. In proof of work, miners do a lot of work to generate the blocks and consume a lot of power. So this is the disadvantage of this proof of work mechanism. Then monopoly problem. 51% attack happens due to this monopoly problem in the proof of work consensus algorithm. If 51% group of peoples have the mining power, that peoples have the high performance computers, then these peoples can manipulate the Bitcoin network. They can deny the mining process. This monopoly problem is because these people own the computers, that computers are high performance computers, and these people control the system. So this will create a monopoly in the Bitcoin network for consensus mechanism. So a 51% attack or majority attack is a case when user or a group of users control the majority of mining power. This is the majority monopoly problem. Group of peoples that has powerful hardware, and that group can control the overall mining system. So monopoly problem, if a single entity took control of the majority of transaction verification resources, if there are group of people that can take the control of the transaction verification process, then such type of such type of group of computers could use these resources to impose the conditions on the rest of the network. And the monopolist, the group of computers that come together and they try to control the system, this monopolist could choose to do this in malicious ways, and in such as double spending, or this monopolist can deny the service to the other nodes in the network. So the attackers get enough power to control most of the events in the network, because these attackers has the mining hardware. Other nodes don't have the such kind of powerful hardware, and these other computers depend on this monopolist for verification of the transaction. So this group of peoples can control the system, and they can monopolize generating the new blocks and receive rewards, since they are able to prevent, and this monopolist can prevent other miners from completing blocks. And this monopolist can reverse the transaction. So these are the different problems associated with the proof of work, that is monopoly problem. So to avoid this monopoly problem, there are different other algorithms: proof of stake, proof of burn, proof of elapsed time. So in this session we will try to learn the proof of stake algorithm. So in proof of work, computers or nodes accept the longest blockchain. So when in proof of work mechanism, the nodes accept the longest blockchain, and monopolist can create a longer chain of fraudulent information faster than the combined effort of all the other computers, because all other computers don't have powerful powerful high performance computer, and this monopolist can create a longer chain of fraudulent information faster than the other computers. So this is the problem associated with the proof of work. So proof of stake is the alternate consensus mechanism for uh, uh, proposing a block in the Bitcoin network. So what is the purpose of consensus mechanism? In consensus mechanism, this network in Bitcoin network, the parties that do not trust on each other, such kind of nodes can participate in the blockchain or Bitcoin network, and when these parties agree on some transaction on some block, that block is added in the blockchain network, or you can say Bitcoin network. So for consensus, for agreement between the different nodes, the consensus mechanism is used. So the consensus mechanism, one node will propose a block, and other nodes has to verify the block. They have to validate the block, they have to verify the transactions, and then after a certain number of confirmation, if certain number of confirmations are received, then that block is added in the blockchain. So in proof of work mechanism, we know that for proposing a block, the miner has to solve the mathematical puzzle. So the miner who will solve the mathematical puzzle first, that machine, that computer will get the chance to propose a block in the Bitcoin network. So we have studied the different disadvantages: monopoly problem, then proof of work requires high expensive hardware, it consumes lots of power also, So for proof of work mechanism, the alternate algorithm is proof of stake, and other algorithms are there also. Proof of burn, proof of elapsed time, that we will study in the next session. So this proof of work, this proof of stake, the proof of stake, the algorithm that we have to study in this session. This proof of work is also called virtual mining, and this is another type of mining puzzle that has been proposed as an alternate to the traditional proof of work scheme. So this proof of stake mining algorithm was first proposed in Peercoin. Peercoin is like a Bitcoin cryptocurrency. This proof of stake algorithm is used first was first proposed in Peercoin in August 2012, and in this scheme the idea is that the users are required to demonstrate possession of certain amount of currency. Thus, the proving that they have stake in the coin. So we will try to understand this sentence in this proof of stake. In proof of stake, the miners has to demonstrate they have certain amount of currency. They have invested certain amount of currency in the Bitcoin network, and if this certain amount of currency is invested in the Bitcoin, then if some misbehavior happens in the Bitcoin network, then there will be a great loss to this miner, because miner has invested a lot of Bitcoins, lot of currency in the Bitcoin network, and if attackers, if malicious behavior happens, then it will impact on the this miner who has invested lot of money, lot of currency in the Bitcoin network. So such type of nodes who has invested their currency, lot of currency, lot of amount in the network, they will not try to misbehave in the network, because if they misbehave, then they can lose their currency, they can lose their stake, they can lose their stake in the system. So this is the idea used in the proof of stake mechanism. So in this scheme, the idea is that users are required that they purchase certain amount of currency, they hold certain amount of currency, and thus they prove that they have stake in the Bitcoin network. And the simplest form of the stake is where mining is comparatively made easier for those users. In this proof of stake, the mining is made easier for the users uh, who hold, or you can say who own larger amount of the digital currency. The mining is made easier for the nodes who is holding larger amount of the digital currency in the Bitcoin network. So the benefits of this scheme are twofold. First, acquiring a larger amount of currency is relatively difficult. So getting larger amount of currency in Bitcoin network is difficult as compared to buying the high performance computer. So as compared to, as in proof of work, we know that high performance computers are required, and in proof of stake, the miner require a larger amount of digital currency. The miner must hold a large amount of digital currency in the Bitcoin network. So there is no need of high performance computer, and there is no need of lots of energy in the proof of stake. Just for participating in the proof of stake algorithm, the miners must have some currency. They must hold some amount of currency in the uh, Bitcoin network. Second benefit of this proof of stake is that it results in saving the computational resources. In proof of stake algorithm, there is no need to solve the mathematical puzzle. There is no need of high performance computer. The only condition is that the node must purchase a certain amount of currency. That is the only condition for the node. The node that will propose a block, that must own, that node must possess a certain amount of currency. That is the only condition in this proof of stake, and there is no need of high performance computer. No energy is consumed, So this scheme, this proof of stake algorithm results in saving computational resources. It results in saving the power also. These are the advantages of this proof of stake mining algorithm. So the basic idea of this algorithm is that the algorithm works on the idea that a node or user has an adequate stake, adequate interest in the system, and the user has invested enough in the system, and if the system collapse, if the hacker take the control of the system, then this user may face large amount of loss. They can lose their investment in the Bitcoin network. So the idea is that the user has an adequate stake. That is, the user has invested enough. The user must have invested certain amount of currency. The user has invested enough in the system so that any malicious attempt, if this user tries to malicious attempt, then it will result a greater loss. It will result a greater loss to the user himself, not to others, but user will lose its currency. The user will lose their investment. The node will lose their investment, and the node will outweigh the benefits of performing such an attack on the network. And if the node misbehaves, then it will create loss to the node himself. So this is the basic idea of this proof of stake algorithm. So in proof of work, miner expend energy. In proof of work, we know that miner expend energy to mine the blocks into existence, and in proof of stake, validators commit stake to attest the blocks into existence. So in this proof of work, some other terms are used. So instead of miners, they use a different term for the nodes who can propose a block. So in the next slide, we will see what terms are used for this proof of stake algorithm. So in proof of stake algorithm, the miners, the nodes that will propose a block, the nodes that will create a block in the Bitcoin network, that nodes are called validators. In proof of work, we call that nodes as miners. But in proof of stake, the nodes who can propose a block, such type of nodes are called validators. And we know that in proof of work we require certain number of confirmation, and if we receive the certain number of confirmation, then that block is added in the Bitcoin network. But in this proof of stake, for confirmations, the alternate word is used, that is attestation. To add a block in the Bitcoin network, certain number of attestations are required. So students, remember these words. The node who will propose a block, that node is called validator, and if certain number of attestations are received, then that block is added in the Bitcoin network. So in proof of work, for that mechanism we call as confirmation. If certain number of confirmations are received, then the block is added in the proof of work consensus algorithm. But in proof of stake, this consensus algorithm, instead of confirmation, the term is attestation. Instead of miner, here in proof of stake we use the word validators, and instead of confirmation in this proof of stake algorithm we use the term attestation. So in proof of stake algorithm, validators are the participants on the network who run nodes, and these validators propose a new block and attest blocks on a proof of stake blockchain. They do so by staking the crypto on the network, by holding some currency in the network and make themselves. If certain amount of currency is holding that node, then that node is available for mining. That means for mining also they use a different term. Here mining term is not used. So in next slide we will see what is the alternate word used for mining. So remember, instead of miner, here we have to use the word validator. and instead of attestation, instead of confirmation, here in proof of stake algorithm, the word used is attestations. So validators will propose a block, and if certain number of attestations are required, then that block is added in the Bitcoin network. So these are the new terms. In proof of stake algorithm, some node will propose a block, the validator will propose a block, and other validators attest that they have seen the block. Other validators attest means they will each verify each transaction. They will check whether the block is valid or not, and if all the conditions are met, then these validators will attest the block. And when sufficient number of attestations, when a certain number of attestations for the block has been collected, when a certain number of attestations for the block has been received, then the block is added in the blockchain. The block is added in the Bitcoin. For attestation, validators receive rewards in the form of transaction fee. Validators receive the transaction fee both for successfully proposing a block and also for making the attestation of the block, so that they have seen the block, they have verified the block, they have validated the block. So for this purpose, the validators will get the transaction fee, or you can say rewards for attestations. So how this proof of stake algorithm work? Proof of stake algorithm uses a pseudo random election process to select a node to be the validator of the next block. So in this proof of stake, we know that in previous slide we have studied the validators will propose a block. Validators will create a block, and validators will propose a block, and other validators will attest the block. If certain number of attestations are received, then that block is added in the blockchain. So the proof of the question is that who will become validator, which node will be selected to propose a block. So which node is selected for proposing a block? So there are some algorithms are used to select a validator for proposing a block in the Bitcoin network. So the proof of stake uses a pseudo random election process to select a node to be validator of the next block based on the combinations of factors that could include. So there are different mechanisms. One mechanism can be staking how much amount of currency that node is holding. Depending on that, the node may be selected as a validator for proposing a block. If the node is holding maximum currency, then that node will become a validator. The node will be selected to propose a block if the node is holding maximum wealth, the maximum currency in the Bitcoin networks. And so then there may be some other criteria from how much time that node is holding that currency, that age of the coin, age of the wealth, that may be also considered for selecting a block, for selecting a validator to propose a block in the this proof of stake mechanism. So it is good to note that proof of stake system blocks are said to be forged rather than mined. So as I said in the previous slide, here mining word is not used in proof of stake. Instead of mine, they use forged, forged. The blocks are said to be forged instead of mine. In proof of work, we say that the block is mine. When the block is added in the blockchain, we say that the block is mine. But in proof of stake, we say that the block is forged. Blocks are said to be forged rather than mined. So who will become validator? This is the big question. Users who want to participate in the forging process are required to lock a certain amount of coins in the network. So users who want to participate as a validator, that user must hold a certain amount of currency, certain amount of stake in the Bitcoin network, and the size of the stake determines the chances that the node will be selected as the next validator to forge the next block. So in this proof of stake algorithm, student try to understand. In proof of work mechanism for mining, for proposing a block, we use the we call that mechanism as a mining process. So in this alternate term is used, that is forging. The mechanism of proposing a block is called forging in the proof of stake algorithm, and users who want to participate in this forging process are required to hold a certain amount of currency, and the size of the currency, the amount of the amount of the currency the node holds. Depending on that, the node will be selected as the next validator to forge the block. The bigger the stake, the bigger the amount of currency the node holds, bigger the chance that the node will become the validator in the proof of stake. From this discussion, it is clear that the node who is holding the larger currency, larger amount of stake in the proof of in Bitcoin network, that node will become a validator. This may create a monopoly problem. Monopoly problem means the node who is holding the larger amount of currency, that node will only get the chance to propose a block in the Bitcoin network. So to avoid such kind of monopoly problem, different mechanisms are used for the purpose that the process not will go in favor of only the wealthiest nodes. The process should not go into the favor of wealthiest nodes in the network, and more unique, more uniform methods are added into the selection process. Into the selection means the who will become the validator in the proof of stake algorithm. For selecting the node as a validator, two most common algorithms are used, and that common algorithms are randomized block selection, and second mechanism is coinage selection. So we will see this randomized block selection and coinage selection. So randomized block selection. So we know that in proof of stake, one node will become validator, and the node who is holding the larger amount of currency, that node can become validator. But this can create a monopoly problem. This node can become validator again and again, denying other nodes to become a validator in the Bitcoin network. So to avoid this, two mechanisms are used: randomized block selection and coinage selection. In randomized block selection, in this method, validators are selected by looking for nodes with a combination of lowest hash value and highest stake. Since the size of the stakes are public, this the node will be selected based on the combination of the lowest hash value and highest stake. If the node is having lowest hash value and the highest stake, then that node can become a validator. So this is the algorithm used based on the hash value. It will use the lowest hash value, combination of the lowest hash value and the highest amount of currency the node is holding, the highest stake in the system. A combination of this is used, and since the size of stake, how much currency that node is holding, that size of stake is public, and in this the next forger can be who will become the next validator, that can be easily predicted by other nodes because of this algorithm. So this algorithm is not very good algorithm, because in this algorithm who will become the next validator, that can be easily predicted. The node who is holding the maximum currency, and the node who has the lowest hash value, that node will become the next node in the next validator in the proof of stake algorithm. So next algorithm for selecting a node who will become the validator is a coinage selection. So this coinage selection method chooses the nodes based on how long their tokens have been invested, from how long time the node is holding the currency, how long time that node is holding the stake in the system. Depending on that age of the coin, it is decided who will become the next validator in the for forging the block in the Bitcoin network. So coinage is calculated by multiplying the number of days the coins have been held. From how many number of days the coins are held by the node, and this number of days the coin have been held as stake, it is multiplied by the number of coins that are staked. How many number of from how many number of days the coins are held, and it that number is multiplied the number of coins, and the coinage is calculated. Coinage is equal to number of from how many number of days coins are held multiplied by the number of coins hold, and from this coinage age is calculated. And once node has forged a block, once a node has proposed a block, their coinage is reset to 0. That means once that node has proposed a block, that node will not get chance to propose a block next time. The node will get the chance to propose a block after certain amount of time, but it will not get immediately chance to propose a block. So once a node has forged a block, their coinage age is reset to 0, and they must have to wait for a certain period of time. This node must have to wait for a certain period of time to be able to propose a block, to forge a block in the Bitcoin network. So this prevents large stake nodes from dominating the block. So this is the good algorithm. This prevents the nodes, the large stake holding nodes, it will prevent the nodes from getting the chance to propose a block again and again, because in this once the node will propose a block, the coin age is reset to 0, and then that node has to wait, that the node has to wait for a certain amount of time, and after certain amount of time that node will get a chance to force the another block. Again this value is calculated, coinage. Now from how many number of days the coins are held multiplied by the number of coins that are hold, this value is calculated, that value is called coinage, and if that value is maximum, then node is selected as a validator. So this is the coinage selection algorithm. So when validator gets selected, what validator has to do? When a validator gets selected, when a node gets selected to propose a block, when a node gets chosen to forge the block, it will check. First the node will check if the transactions in the block are valid or not. Then it will sign the block with its private key and add this block to the blockchain. And as a reward, the node receives the transaction fees as a reward. The node will check the transaction, whether the transactions are valid or not, and then it will check as per rules whether the certain rules are met or not, and if the transaction is valid, if the block is valid, then that it will add the block to the blockchain, and for adding the block, the node will get the reward. Node will receive a transaction fee that are associated with the transactions in the block. And if a node wants to stop being a forger, if the node don't want to participate in this forging process, mining process, and then its whatever currency that node is holding, its stake along with the earned rewards, whatever transaction fee that node has earned, that will be released after a certain amount of time, giving the network time to verify that there are no fraudulent blocks added to the blockchain by this node. When if node wants to come to stop being a forger, then its currency that node is holding, that is released after a certain amount of time, and this time is taken to see that whether node has not done any misbehavior, Node has not proposed any fuzzy block in the Bitcoin network, and if that things are confirmed, then that amount is released, whatever the currency is holding, that currency is released to the node. So this is uh, the process of what happens when the validator is get selected for mining forging process. So if a validator attempts to attack or compromise a blockchain, if validator misbehaves, if validator tries to attack in the Bitcoin network, blockchain network, then what will happen? If validator attempt to attack or compromise to blockchain, then a different penalty mechanism kicks in. As the node will is a substantial portion of their stake, substantial portion of the currency that the node is holding, that currency will be slashed, and this node will be ejected, this node will be removed from the network if the node tries to misbehave, if the node tries to attack the network, if node tries to compromise the blockchain. The result is a tremendous financial loss. The result is a tremendous financial risk of a failed attack by a validator. And in order to effectively control the network and approve fraudulent transactions, the node must have the 51% currency. Node must hold the 51% currency if node wants to make the fraudulent attempts or fraudulent attacks, or if node tries to compromise, if the node wants to misbehave in the network, then node must hold a 51% currency in the networks, and this is not possible, and this is very impractical, as in order to gain control of the network you would need to acquire 51% of the circulating currency, circulating supply. So it is not possible for any node to hold 51% of circulating currency, and such type of attack is not possible in the proof of stake mechanism. And in proof of stake mechanism, if validator tries to attempt the if validator tries to attempt to attack the network, then it will lose its investment, whatever the currency he is holding, that may the node may lose, and whatever the node has earned from this network, that earnings are also lost, and the node is removed from the network. So this is the penalty given to the node. So what are the main advantages of this proof of stake algorithm? The proof of stakes algorithms are energy efficient and highly secured. There is no need of high performance computer, so it will not consume energy. First, there are different security advantages. The first is accessibility. Proof of stake blockchains do not require validators to worry about the initial hardware cost. There is no need of any high performance computers, and there is no need to pay attention to the electricity rates. In the same way, miners on proof of work chain must, because in proof of work mechanism miners has to spend a lot of power, and for uh, uh, utilizing lot of power they have to pay the high electricity bills also. This proof of stake algorithm, there is no need of high performance computer. The condition is that only the node must hold a certain amount of currency, and only the currency condition is that validators must take a minimum amount of crypto currency to run a full validator node. Then centralization. Participation in proof of stake chain requires only a non-zero amount of cryptocurrency and internet connection and computer, and this is the only requirement to participate in the in the proof of stake consensus mechanism, and there is no chance of centralization in the proof of stake algorithm. That this is not possible that this only few nodes will control the system. So proof of stake versus proof of work versus proof of stake. Thanks to a proof of stake system, validators do not have to use their computing power. Validators don't require high performance computer. because the only factors that influence that their chance are the total number of the coins, total number of coins that the node is holding, and current complexity of the network. So if this proof of stake system is better, it don't require high performance computer, it don't consume the lots of energy. Only the requirement is that the node must have a certain amount of currency in the network. So this is about this proof of stake algorithm, energy efficient algorithm. So students, in this session we will stop here. We have studied this proof of stake alternate algorithm. In next session we will study one more consensus algorithm, that is proof of Bunn. So there are different YouTube videos on this topic. So you can go on to the internet, you can use the YouTube and find different YouTube videos for this proof of work. So I have tried my best to explain this concept of proof of stake. So thanks for listening session. Goodbye.